Market.
It's the Saturday Morning Scramble on the Fan Upstate.
The latest high school football conversation. There's one place for it, and that place is the Fan Upstate. Welcome into the Saturday Morning Scramble. He's Alex Guest. I'm Cole Bryson. We are live at Ingles this morning on a beautiful Saturday morning. So good to be with you. We're at 2000 South Pine Street in Spartanburg. Again, 2000 South Pine Street. A full night of high school football last night that we have to get to. We have to react to. You, Alex Guest, have to react to. But first, there's a big problem this morning. A big problem. You know what the problem is, Alex?
I don't know what the problem is, Cole.
There's a glare on my screen,
yeah,
on the stream, if you're watching.
Yep.
Alex Guest is very
I'm
upset.
very upset.
Very upset about the glare. So we're going to adjust and get the glare out of the view. What do I mean? Well, we're live on Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. Not only can you listen to the Saturday Morning Scramble, you can watch the show live every Saturday. There's already 25 people watching on the stream right now as we speak. 8 to 10 a.m. High school football week 2 is officially in the rearview mirror. Big show coming up, Alex. We will talk to Josh Batchelor of the Blacksburg Wildcats. A big win for them last night over Cherryville. We'll also have audio from Matt Real, the head football coach of the Bowling Springs Bulldogs. I caught up with him last night, as well as quarterback Lincoln Husky for the Bulldogs. He had a fantastic game last night. I was at Boiling Springs Chapman last night. You were at?
I was at Gaffney, who they played Greenville.
Gaffney Greenville. Took you a minute.
Greenville, yeah.
So it was a long night. You know, it takes time for your brain to kind of reset on a Saturday morning. So good to be with you, man. It's starting to feel like fall outside, finally.
Beautiful.
I'm jacked up. I'm ready. I'm fired up. Hope you are as well. The Gaffney Greenville game. Let's start with that one. Before we get to the scores from last night, we'll have a full list of every score. How did Alex and I do on our weekly picks? We'll tell you that as well. But Gaffney Greenville just not close, really, to put it simple.
Yeah, no, I mean, it was, Greenville got the opening kickoff. They drove downfield. They scored on their first kickoff or on their first drive. And
who did?
Greenville.
Oh, wow.
And went up 7-0. And then, Gaffney was just spotting them 7 points because then Gaffney scored 54 straight
unanswered
before Greenville got what some in the business would like to call a garbage time touchdown with 3 minutes left.
That's what it was. That's what it was, right?
I mean, Gaffney looked very impressive last night in all aspects of a football game. Javon Gilmore, quarterback, went 24 of 27 for 334 yards,
Ouch.
4 touchdowns, no interceptions.
Wait. Say that stat line again.
24 of 27, 334 yards.
Oh, my gosh.
4 touchdowns.
That's player of the week worthy.
No interceptions. And had a rushing touchdown.
Make that sinker.
Yes, five touchdowns.
We just gave the player of the week to a Gaffney player last week.
Andrew Roop,
gosh.
And the defense, Gaffney's defense, they didn't do much last night. They held Greenville to 3 rushing yards and 145 passing yards.
Not bad. Not a bad night.
Not a bad night for Gaffney.
I feel like that was, Gaffney didn't play week 0. Last week, obviously, they won, but they were going up against a very good J.L. Man team. You kind of feel like last night, you were there, but from what I heard and people were texting me about it, felt like Gaffney Alex last night kind of got the first game jitters and everything behind them and just, I don't know other way to put it, but steamrolled their opponent last night. Javon Gilmore, there were a lot of questions when he came to Gaffney, not questions about his game, but like questions on he'd only been playing the quarterback position for a year, right? He goes from Ben Lippen to Gaffney. That's a big difference. Well, I think he answered every question there is last night. That's as good of a performance as you'll get anywhere in the state.
Yeah, absolutely. And I saw Javon last week against J.O. Man, and I mentioned on the show last week that he, it took a couple of drives, took a little bit for Javon to kind of settle down and really step into that role of just being a team leader and a leader on the field. And then last night, really, you didn't see any kind of jitters or anything like that, really, from the entire team. And I mean, like I said, all aspects of the game last week, there were several extra points, and I think a field goal missed by Gaffney. And then last night, I mean, a couple of bad snaps on field goal on PAT tries that were no good. But otherwise, speaking to the kicking coach at Gaffney last night, and Scott Simmons, he was very impressed at the just week 1 to week 2 difference in even the kicking game.
So that would make 8 total touchdowns for Javon Gilmore this season.
Yep.
And the kids played 2 games.
Yeah.
Like, think about that. 8 touchdowns. You talk about quarterback production. I mean, it doesn't get – you just can't drum it up anybody. And that's the difference maker. We talk about, 5A and Division I, Division II, who's going to make a run, who we think will be there when it's all said and done. If Gaffney plays like that, if Gaffney plays like they did last night, there's very few teams, that, in my opinion, that can beat them. And obviously you got to stay healthy. You got to have production. But goodness gracious, that was a mauling last night. Speaking of mauling, a game I was at, Boiling Springs, Chapman.
Seemed like a similar type game.
Similar score?
Yeah.
It was 52-7. Your game was 54-7 at one point.
Yeah.
And, pretty, name your score kind of game for
Man,
Bowling
we picked
Springs.
good games to go to.
Yeah, very close games. I could have left in the first quarter when it was over, but no disrespect to Chapman. They played very hard and they're well coached, but Bowling Springs last night, just a juggernaut. I mean, they're so well-oiled right now, like a well-oiled machine, man. And we'll have audio from Lincoln Husky and Matt Reel coming up here in just a minute. But, they're such a well-oiled machine. Offensively, they played phenomenal last night, but defensively, they were tough. They've got guys. I don't think, as much as we talk about Bowling Springs and Lincoln Husky and Kyle Patterson and the guys they have on the outside and at running back, I don't think we talk enough about their offense and defensive line. I mean, they've got size, and you'll hear from Matt Reel in a few minutes. He talked about it. They finally got that push last night they were looking for. They were just bigger at every position than Chapman was, and they bullied them last night. Bowling Springs, again, the Region 2 5A is different. We all know that the competition's elite, as far as looking at regions across the state. But Bowling Springs last night, they looked as good as they've looked. Lincoln Husky quarterback had a phenomenal night, over 300 yards passing. Kyle Patterson had a phenomenal night. He's had a great year already this season in 2024, several touchdowns for him. That connection is going to be deadly all season. They get a bye, but Matt Reel told me, you'll hear it. He said, no. He said, it's not a bye. He said, we're not off. And I tell you, I love listening to Coach Matt Reel. I think he's done a tremendous job at Bowling Springs, and he knows what's at task. Let's first hear from Lincoln Husky, the quarterback, after last night's win. Again, final score 52-7, Bowling Springs over Chapman last night. Here's what the Bowling Springs quarterback had to say.
Big 52-7 win tonight for Bowling Springs here. Lincoln Husky quarterback. Lincoln, obviously a big win. Scoreboard told the story, but what did you see that allowed you guys to perform so well tonight?
Well, they just came out and what they ran through in the past, so we schemed up for that and honestly just executed our plays up front and out with our receivers, made great reads.
Compared to last week, it seemed like you guys got a lot better push up front. You feel that way as well?
Oh, yes, sir, obviously. Our offensive linemen, they did a great job this week. They held their own, which opened up a lot of things for us in the pass game and the run game for us.
What did you see when you were going through, obviously, the first few drives? You guys were to move the ball well. What did you see, whether it was the formations they were in or just personnel that allowed you guys to move the ball so well?
I think it's a lot of both. A lot of the formations that they were in, we were able to attack with our matchups that we had with them. So they did a great job attacking each other, and we did a great job calling the plays.
What's Coach Reel's message to you guys, as well as your message as leader of the team as you prepare for a bye week in the Gaffney?
Don't be complacent and don't take time off. It's a bye week, but I don't mean it's an actual bye week. We got to stay focused and stay locked in for each other.
Appreciate it, man.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
That is Lincoln Husky, the quarterback of the Bowling Springs Bulldogs, after a big win last night. Bowling Springs 3-0, Alex. And we know what 2 weeks from now will be. It will be talked about because it's the game that's looming in the distance. Bowling Springs has the bye. Gaffney obviously doesn't. However, not to talk down about North Carolina high school football, it's going to be as close to a bye as you can get without having a bye next week. Is that too disrespectful to say?
No, I think that's very fair, especially considering, it's a last second thrown
Yep.
together game.
Yeah, that's right.
Kind of feels like, and Gaffney's just trying to get reps in. So.
Here is Matt Reel, Coach Matt Reel, after last night's big win for Boiling Springs over Chapman. Coach Reel obviously ecstatic after the 52-7 win for the Bulldogs.
Down here on the field with Coach Matt Reel after a 52-7 win. Coach, one of the wins tonight where the scoreboard just kind of tells the story.
Yeah, I thought last week we played really, really well for a half, and we were just kind of satisfied getting through the second half. And playing the people we play, you can't have that mentality. You can't function that way. And I thought tonight, our whole focus this whole week was start fast, get a big lead, just like we did. But then the second half's got to be just as important as the first half. And I thought our guys approached halftime. I thought they approached our meetings. There wasn't a gaze off in the crowd. There wasn't anything. It was business. And as soon as they came back out, it was that same mentality, 0-0. And that's what you want in a mature football team. That's what we have, man. We got a lot of seniors, a lot of guys that's been through the fire. Even our juniors, a lot of them have played. So for them to come back tonight and respond to what they did, for me, it's just really good seeing our kids come out and play at that level.
You talk about the focus and maturity. What kind of DNA makeup does the team have to be able to possess that week in and week out?
Well, I think the biggest thing for us is we've been through the fire, man. We were on the receiving end of these scores like tonight 2 years ago. And all these guys fought through that, and they took whatever was said in the media, took whatever was said at school, took whatever was said in the community, and they've just worked, man. They put their head down, they put their eyes down, they put their eyes on the goal. And then for 3 years, man, this has been a grind. And I think it's just a culmination of those guys understanding what they've been through and now enjoying what we work for.
Sure.
Winning's hard, man. I don't care what you're doing. It's hard. And for our kids to come out and be 3-0 the first 3 weeks of the season is a testament to them and also a testament to these coaches, man. Not me. Take my name out of this. But our staff is phenomenal. They do a tremendous job preparing our guys. They love our guys. They invest in our guys, not just in football, but as people. And all that stuff starting to show through in these games.
Have some pretty big guys up front. Obviously, when you're able to score like that, you'll win a lot of games. But it seems like you guys were able to dominate the trenches tonight as well.
Well, that was a big focal point, too. I didn't think we ran the ball the way we could the first 2 weeks. And that was a testament to those teams we played, too. But tonight, I think they did a really good job of just digging in, taking advantage. We were bigger. We pride ourselves on the weight room, just like Chapman does. I mean, ain't no knock on them. But I felt like we dominated for the most part. Like you said, the trenches, ran the ball really well. We're able to convert on third and short. And once we got to the goal line, there were no issues there, too. So when you can do that, man, it puts a lot of pressure on the other team.
Coach, bye week, as you were talking to your team a minute ago, and then that second part of the season, the really important part gets here. What's your message to your team now with Gaffney looming 2 weeks away?
Well, I just told them it's not a bye week. It's a work week with no game on Friday. Yeah. It's kind of like, different states pay teachers differently. Sometimes it's a month before you get paid. Sometimes it's 2 weeks before you get paid. Well, we're in a 2 week pay right here. We got to go to work this week, then you get your pay that next week whenever Gaffney rolls into town. So that's our mentality. Our kids have brought a hard hat mentality every day. They just work, and that's what they're going to do next week. So just excited about it.
Last question. A big win tonight. There's a lot of positives, but what's one thing you want to see this team get better on for Gaffney?
Well, I think just controlling the high emotion moments, which is going to be huge against Gaffney. They're going to come in ready to go. And I'm sure they won tonight. I haven't seen any scores.
Same score as yours almost.
Well, that doesn't surprise me. This Gaffney, what you got. So the emotions are going to be high. Both of us are going to be undefeated probably unless something crazy happens. Big game for us. At home, going to be a big crowd. I mean, everything that I wanted when I came to Upstate was going to be on that field on Friday night. And everything that we've done as a football program for the last 3 years is going to be at our fingertips on that Friday night, too. So, man, it don't get no better than this.
Coach, congratulations.
Thank you, buddy. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Man, if that doesn't get you just fired up, Matt Reel's one of the coaches. You hear him talk. He's just he's number one, really good, interviews, radio. He's smooth talking, Alex, but player's coach. That's what you call a guy like that, just gets you fired up, says the right things. And you talk about a jump. I think this is the 6th year of the Saturday Scramble. And obviously I went to Boiling Springs and covered them for a long time. This Boiling Springs football program is just in a much better state and a different state than they were, when Matt Reel took the job.
Yeah, absolutely. And before I came on the show last year, Matt Reel had already established himself as the coach at Boiling Springs. He had been there for a year, and when I heard that hire, I immediately thought, my gosh, Boiling Springs got them a dude.
They did.
And that was, I mean, for lack of a better term, and not really knowing what he was going to bring to Boiling Springs other than what he has done previously
Sure.
across the state. I mean, everybody talked so highly of Matt Reel. Everybody had nothing but great things to say. One, about his coaching style, but two, about his personality. And I think you heard really both of that right there in that post-game interview from last night.
13 days until Boiling Springs opens region play
Did you just
at
have to
home.
count that?
No, I didn't.
Okay.
I was not looking at my calendar counting, by the way. 13 days until Boiling Springs hosts Gaffney to open the region. That will be a huge game in the upstate, not only the upstate, but the state.
How
two
many
really
people do you
good
think will
teams.
be there?
Probably 15, 16, something like that.
Yeah.
I'd say maybe 17 if they're lucky. Yeah, Gaffney fans, you know how
They
are.
don't
They
travel
don't travel.
and-
Bowling Springs fans don't.
Yeah.
Kidding. I'm kidding. That game will be packed, and it's at Bowling Springs. It's going to be a fantastic atmosphere. It really is. All right, week 2 scores. We have not gotten to them yet, but last night, week 2, I know it's the 3rd game, but it's the 2nd week according to the high school league. So week 2 scores. We will tell you how we did on our picks. But first, here is Alex Guest with the scores from last night.
Week 2 scores. Well, easily knocks off Wade Hampton, 41-14. Gaffney, 54-14 winners over Greenville. A close game last night, 20-14.
That was a
Dormant
close
defeats Greenwood.
And that you know what, that was a game for me that was difficult to pick.
Yeah.
I actually changed my pick
You
with
did, yeah.
I got it in time before kickoff, but thankfully I changed it in the right direction. I had a gut feeling on Friday that would be the winner, but Dorman, that's a big bounce back win after what they had to go through on the road last week at Grayson for them to bounce back against a good Chris Liner
And I
Greenwood
think
team.
I think you and I both kind of went back and forth on who we were going to pick. When I made my picks earlier in the week, I really struggled to pick that game as well. So a surprising final, Hillcrest 28-21 winners over Greer.
Surprising in terms of how close the game was.
Yes.
Yeah, I agree
yes.
with that. It was.
Yeah.
28-21. I thought Hillcrest would beat them by 2 or 3 touchdowns.
Yeah. And no offense to Greer.
Yeah, they're 0-3 now.
Yeah.
Hillcrest now 3-0. And Caleb Sutton, by the way, was back last night for the Rams. He was out last week, but he was back last night.
J.O. Mann defeats Daniel 28-23.
Dang, that sounded like a good game last night.
Yeah. And I think I heard Daniel had the ball late in the game. They were driving to try to get the win and just didn't get there.
That was also tough to pick. I mean, you give Daniel credit. They hung. I mean, we saw Gaffney last week.
Yeah.
Beat them by 2.
Yeah.
And Daniel hung in there with J.O. Mann 28-23. That's it's a loss. Obviously, you don't want to lose, but that's a good performance by Daniel because that's a very good J.O. Mann team.
Fountain Inn knocks off Malden 12-3. I think maybe the lowest scoring game of the night.
Man, I wish I had the under in that.
Westside 56-20 winners over T.L.
Whew.
Hannah.
Wow.
Big win for Westside.
I no disrespect to T.L. Hannah, but a couple of weeks ago when Burns played T.L. Hannah, a lot of people asked me, Burns kept it close. They came back in the 4th quarter, and I told a lot of people, Hannah's down. Hannah's not the same Hannah team that they have been in the years past. Still a very good football team, but they're not the Hannah that we're used to seeing. They're very, very young. They only returned 3 starters on both sides of the ball, so they'll get better. But wow, 56-20 Westside. I don't know that Westside loses a game this year. I mean, I'd
be surprised.
There's a lot of season left, but dang, that's impressive.
Woodmont 34-19 winners over Pendleton. The game that we just heard 52-7. I guess we didn't hear the game, but just
heard from the coach.
Game.
That's right.
52-7. Boiling Springs a winner over Chapman. Riverside knocks off Christ Church 37-20.
A big night, by the way, in that game by Jaden Taylor for Riverside in that 37-20 win. 3-touchdown performance. Jaden Speedy Taylor, as they call him, over at Riverside, had a fantastic night. He's going to be very, very good for that program, and that's a big win. Look, they're Riverside. We're talking about after that win last night, 3-0.
Yeah.
3-0 Riverside. I mean, they've had a heck of a start to the season, and we all know what region they're in. It's going to be a tough road for them in region play, but what a start for them.
And in the opposite hand, Christ Church, a team that we're not used to saying is 0-3, but
Yeah,
they're 0-3
that is
right
strange.
now. Yeah.
That is strange, yeah.
Spartanburg 47-6 winners over Broome last night. Woodruff 62-35 winners over Emerald. Belton Honeypath gets a big 55-6 win over Lawrence.
And a huge night for BHP running back Clemson commit Marquise Henderson,
Yes.
running back, 9 carries. Listen to this stat line. 9 carries, 196 yards, 3 touchdowns. By the way, that's not it. Marquise Henderson last night set the Belton Honeypath school rushing record in the 55-6 win over Lawrence. That kid is going to be a very good football player. Marquise Henderson, Clemson commit. They've got a stud running back at BHP. And BHP is one of the best teams in the state in their classification.
School rushing record in what?
I don't know.
No.
What do you mean of what?
I don't know.
He broke the school rushing record last
yards.
night. Well, yeah, probably
I
so.
guess that's yards.
Probably so.
Sorry, didn't mean to stump you.
Well, I just am reading what I was given. I'm reading.
Yeah.
I'm reading. That's all I can do is read.
Dixie squeaks out a 37-36 win over Southside. Wren 34-7 winners over Powdersville. Blue Ridge goes up to Polk County, North Carolina. Blue Ridge was down 30-13 at the half.
Wow.
And they come back and win 42-36 over Polk County.
That's a big win.
Pickens 38-34 over Liberty. Seneca 42-3 winners over West Oak. Palmetto 31-0 blanks Travelers Rest last night. Southside Christian a 42-28 win over Anderson Christian. Mountain View Prep 48-21 over St. Joseph's. York 49-14 winners at Union County. Blacksburg a big home winner last night 48-12 over Cherryville out of North Carolina. Chesney 25-13 over Walhalla. Clinton a 23-14 winner over Newberry. Landrum 54-26 over Ware Shoals. The surprise of the night for, I think, both of us was Batesburg-Leesville, a 37-35 winner over Abbeville.
That is a surprise. That is a big surprise. And again, Abbeville, from what I've been told, may be a little down this year, but they're still a very good team.
Very good team.
That's a big win for Batesburg-Leesville last night.
Very. Mid-Carolina blanks Whitmire 28-0, and Greenwood Christian defeats Eau Claire.
How about that? Eau Claire.
42-0.
That is the list of scores from last night. We will hit them again in our number 2 of the program, but we are due for a break. We'll come back on the other side, continue to break down last night's games, as well as tell you how we did in our weekly pick'ems right here on the Fan Upstate.
Are you clear?
Thanks, man.
From the News Talk 98.9 WORD Weather Center, here's the Carolina's most trusted forecast on the Fan Upstate. Slight chance for isolated rain showers today. Otherwise, cloudy skies expected. Highs level off around 86. Winds out of the north, 5 to 10 miles per hour. I'm meteorologist Jennifer Wojcicki on the Fan Upstate. Currently 70.
Hey, this is Cole Bryson. It's the most wonderful time of the year. That's right, high school football season is here. And for the best coverage in the upstate, tune into the Saturday Morning Scramble. Each and every Saturday, we will have instant reaction interviews from players and coaches, and we will take your phone calls.
Morning Scramble.
Only on the Fan Upstate.
Continuing the program, high school football last night, week 2 in the rear view mirror. I'm Cole Bryson. To my right, Alex Guest. We are live on location this morning at 2000 South Pine Street in Spartanburg. If you're if you live in, or if you're around the east side of Spartanburg, come by, holler at us, talk a little high school football. We are here until 10 a.m., and we would love to see you. All right, Alex, we've got to get down and dirty. We've got to get to our records, how we did, how we picked, because, you know, when I pick against somebody, I hear about it. So when I pick against them this time and I'm right, I'm going to let them hear about it. I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
In all seriousness, though, last night, week 2, how did you do last night, Alex Guest?
I went 21-5.
You copied me. We both went 21-5. How about that? Now, how did we both go 21-5 and you picked different games? Is that luck?
I guess.
I think you picked the games after they happened.
Yeah. If I did that, I would have gone 26-0 last night.
You went 21-5. I went 21-5. You are now at 59-20 on the season. I'm a little bit ahead of you, not too far ahead. 62-17 on the season. We both went 21-5 last night. I got the Abbeville game wrong.
Mm-hmm.
I had Abbeville over Batesburg-Leesville, as you did as well.
Yeah.
Let's see what else. I picked Newberry. You picked Clinton. You got that one right. Yep. Clinton got the big – that's a big win for Clinton last night.
Big win.
Let's see where I went wrong. I picked Travelers Rest over Palmetto. Obviously, Palmetto whooped Travelers Rest last night. That one wasn't close. I picked Powdersville.
Mm-hmm.
Look, we had Robert Muster on last week. I was feeling like Powdersville was in a must-win situation. Alex, they lost, and now what, 0-3 on the season?
Yeah.
Powdersville, man, that's a tough start for them. You know, they had a tough year last year after the year before that actually the last 2 years before that, having an unbelievable record, only losing a few games in 2 years combined. You did get that one right. We both picked Pendleton over Woodmont. We both got that one wrong, as Woodmont had a big win last night over Pendleton. That's a good football team that Woodmont beat. 34-19 was the final score there. That is that's a big win for Woodmont last night. And then I also, let's see, that's all my losses. You got Malden wrong over Fountain. How would you pick against Fountain Inn? That is your Fountain Inn. What's their mascot?
The Fury.
The Fury. That's you literally live in Fountain Inn.
Yeah.
And you picked against them?
Yeah, but, you know, I'm trying to – I was trying to make an advantageous move here in the standings. And, yeah, I mean, I picked that game wrong. I really – and, I mean, the final score, I mean, it was 12-3.
Yeah.
So
track meet.
So clearly I feel like it could have gone either way. But, you know, I picked Malden. I thought that Malden would get their first win. And
still, what,
2.5
now?
years? Yeah, something like that.
It's been a long time since they've won a football game.
Other games I got wrong that you had picked right. I picked Liberty over Pickens. Pickens won that game. Look, I know I'm going to get a lot of flack from a lot of people for this next pick.
And the next guest. I'm going to tell them.
And the next guest.
I'm going to tell them. You picked
However,
Cherryville?
I would not be here if it weren't for the little town of Cherryville, North Carolina.
That's right.
That's where my entire mom's side of the family is from.
There you go. You're
spent
like
many a day at my grandparents' house in Cherryville, North Carolina, growing up. So I picked with the heart.
Yep.
And took the Ironman of Cherryville.
I
apologize to Josh Batchelor and the entire Blacksburg and Cherokee County communities.
You're just a Blacksburg hater, is what you are. You're a Blacksburg hater.
I will pick Blacksburg every game rest of the season.
No, you can't now.
That was the one game that I could not do.
We're going to label you a Blacksburg hater.
Shout out to the Ironman in Cherryville. You let me down last night.
Blacksburg's had a heck of a start to the season. They really have. All right, if you want to get in on the conversation, you can do so. 71307. Start your text with the word FAN. Again, 71307. FAN, F-A-N, is what you need to start your text with. Phone lines also open. 844-FAN phone. That's 844-326-3663. Let's go to the Renewal by Anderson of the Carolinas fan phone. Daredevil wants to chime in. What's up, man?
Oh, man, I just want to let y'all know I
I don't watch the stream, so the glare's not bothering me a bit, sir.
It's gone now.
You always make me laugh.
Alex, Mrs. Daredevil said you announced ahead of time which singles you're going to be at.
That's right. We do. We'll tell you. Matter of fact, give me 1 second. I'll now that you're asking, next Saturday.
I live in Spartanburg County.
How about this, Daredevil? Next Saturday, 1524 Locust Hill Road in the big city of Greer.
Okay, Greer next week. Well, I can definitely come to that, sir, because that's where I grew up, in the big city of Greer. I can do that. Yeah, it's the Locust Hill one. Yeah, man, we can do that. And Greer's coming back, sir. You seen what they did last night? I know I figured 2 or 3 touchdown loss, and I listened to the whole game. They made quite the game of it. Greer's coming back, and you know, I told you I grew up in Greer, but I went over to J.L. Mann, and I think Mann's here. I think they're for real, Cole.
Yeah, they are.
For real, I say. What do you think?
No, you're right. They're very good. J.L. Mann, Coach Watson's done an incredible job. It helps when you can acquire a lot of talent as well from other surrounding areas. Daredevil, you say Greer's coming back. Do you give him a chance next week against a Burns team that's very down?
I figured you'd say that. Yeah, you sound like my friend Ronnie Black. No, I think Burns will win, but I think Greer will be fine when they hit the region.
Well,
when they hit the region.
Hey, I just thought I'd ask. I mean, Burns is down this year. I thought, you know, I don't think Daredevil. I heard
closer than it usually is.
I heard that Greer. I don't know if this is 100% true, but I heard through the grapevine that Greer hasn't beaten Burns since Ronald Reagan was the president. I don't know if that's true, but that's what I was told.
Wow.
So it's been a while.
Probably true. But now, in the old days, they beat them a good bit. Of course, some old days are long gone. But hey, man, the year that Greer played for the state and lost, I was at the game in Columbia. Burns beat them pretty handily that year. So I ain't worried about what the Rebels going to do next week.
Appreciate the call, buddy.
I'll come see you.
Okay.
In Greer next Saturday. I'll come see you, buddy.
Absolutely. That's Daredevil. You can chime in 844-FAN phone. However, we have to run, take a short break, come back. We'll be joined by the head football coach of the Blacksburg Wildcats, Josh Batchelor, right here on the Fan Upstate.
Federal Credit Union, and your local Ingles Market.
This is the Fan Upstate, 97.7 FM Greenville, 97.1 FM Spartanburg.
Streaming everywhere on the Odyssey app.
Continuing the conversation, high school football week 2 in the rearview mirror, high school football week 3. I know it's the 4th game for a lot of teams, but it's looming now, 6 days away. And just to clarify, I was wrong on my president. It was Bill Clinton, right, Alex?
Bill Clinton, yeah, 2000.
Bill Clinton was the last time Greer beat Burns. So wasn't far off.
No.
One president.
10 years, yeah, one president between, yeah.
So Bill Clinton was the guy. Sorry about that, Daredevil. I misspoke earlier. But that's still a long time. 16 straight wins, I believe, is what it is now.
Yeah.
All right, let's go back to the phones, 844-FAN phone. We bring in the head football coach of the Blacksburg Wildcats, Coach Josh Batchelor. Coach, congratulations on a big win last night, and thanks for hopping on with us. Let's try that again. Coach, we have you now?
Are you there?
I got you. Do you have us?
I do.
Appreciate that. Sorry for a little technical difficulty back in the studios. We've got you loud and clear, but appreciate you hopping on with us, Coach. A big win. Congratulations to your Blacksburg Wildcats. Quite the start and a big win over Cherville last night.
Yeah, man, I appreciate you guys. Appreciate what you guys do. Appreciate you having me on this morning. Yeah, just real proud of our guys and the way we came out and executed early and kind of jumped out to a big lead, never looked back.
48-12 was the score for Blacksburg. Blacksburg last night going into the game was 1-0. You guys had an early bye. But, Coach, what last night against Cherville, what did you see on film during the week that kind of led you to believe you guys could have such success as you did last night?
Well, watching it on film and some of the teams that they've played, they haven't played very many spread teams. They're up in North Carolina. A lot of those mountain county schools that they've played, they're wing teams. But we've gotten one film in particular that kind of showed some spread stuff, and they came out and wanted to play man, and we just felt like, with the guys that we have and as many guys as we have at the wide receiver position, it was going to be hard for them to kind of take away of all of them. So they kind of had to give us some things, and we were able to kind of play basketball on grass and pick matchups and, like I said, execute early, and then also playing man, causes problems in the run game when we do break tackles. And so we had, Dominique Odom went for some big runs early. I think we were up 34-0 in the first quarter.
Wow.
We hit a bunch of big balls in man coverage, and like I said, we jumped out early and guys executed. Josh Sims was as locked in as I think I've ever seen him be, and man, he hit every throw. So just a good night last night.
We're talking to the Blacksburg Wildcats football coach Josh Batchelor this morning on the Saturday Scramble right here on the Fan Upstate. I'm Cole Bryson. He's Alex Guest. We're live at 2000 South Pine Street, Ingles Markets. Coach, this season you guys have had a good start, 2-0 start. But what do we talked to you during the offseason and leading up to the season. What did you get during the spring and summer practices that led you to believe that this team could be a really good football team for you?
Well, anytime you're at a 2A high school, you kind of ebb and flow. But last year we were able to retain, I think, 14 starters.
Wow.
And obviously that's on both sides of the ball. But we were able to keep that many kids in the program, and anytime you can get that many guys back, I think it's the first time in my career where I've coached an offense where I had a returning starting quarterback, and so we were able to spend some time in the off season doing what we call Q school with him and doing pre-snap reads and understanding coverages and how they work. And he's an extremely talented athlete anyway, but then when we were able to kind of put the mental side to it, he's really took to it and flourished. So we knew that. We got a lot stronger in the off season, the weight room with Coach Hawkins, and the kids bought in. We put a premium on the classroom. This week we had nobody in study hall after school. So all those things, man, were they're a key indicator of doing what championship type teams do. And I say that they say fake it till you make it, and basically you take those championship type things and you put them together, and you continue to do those things till you become a championship team. So that's what
that's kind of like what we're after, and our kids have bought into it and done a tremendous job.
Coach, for those that don't know, here in the upstate, Spartanburg, Greenville County, and Cherokee County as well, and in Anderson, that don't know a ton about Blacksburg Wildcat football, give us some names of some guys. You mentioned a few a moment ago, but some names of some guys that have already had a good start, but also that you expect to be big playmakers for your team this year.
Yeah, you got like I said, Josh Sims, our quarterback's a phenomenal athlete, 2,000-yard passer a year ago. We had a transfer, Dominique Odom, came in from Indian Land. His dad's an alum. They actually live in Blacksburg, so he moved him back home. Zion Harris out at receiver, an excellent receiver. You got Cam Cobb, Shundarius Rogers. Shundarius had like 8 catches for 223 yards a couple weeks ago against Ware Shoals. Like I say, Cam Cobb's been injured and he's back. Tristan Hare out at receivers a burner. I think he hit like 24 miles an hour on our catapult system.
Wow.
So I mean, just like I said, it's just a bunch of dudes, man. The Todd Lavender, who is another 6'3" receiver, can jump and basketball guy. And so like it's just hard to take them all away. And we try to exploit matchups, and we got big guys up front that work their tails off. Lane Rising and Hart Crawford and Charles Dawkins. They just Red Bonner. They just all get after it, man. And they like each other. They work hard for each other. They've bought into the system. We were kind of wing T with Coach Turner when he was there, and we kind of come out of that into a spread tempo type, offense that I like to run, and it's kind of they kind of flourished in it.
Coach, you talk about the catapult system. I mean, could I juice those numbers? You think I could hit 15 miles an hour? You think that's possible?
15, I don't know. I put one on the other day. When we first got them in, and I was tempted to take off, but I'm getting old now, and I have to coach. So 15's a lot, brother. You'd be surprised how fast 15 is.
Totally tongue in cheek saying that. There's no chance I could. I would be lucky to get 6, 7, maybe 8. But Coach,
you get 8
okay,
sure.
that makes me feel a lot better. Thank you, Coach. Next week, you got a team that's going to come in scrappy, looking for their first win. I know it's Saturday morning. You haven't had a ton of time to watch film yet, but when you look at what you guys have done, what do you know about this Union County football team?
Well, during the bye week, I was able to get out and go do some scouting and see, and they're extremely big up front, which causes problems for us, man. We're not very deep up front. As good as we are up front, we're just not very deep, and so they're able to roll guys kind of in and out, and they're really big, they're really physical, they're athletic, and in the back end, which for us having to trying to choose matchups like we do, I mean, it's going to cause a problem for us. They play extremely hard. They don't look like an 0-3 football team. They've played some really good teams, and I guarantee they're not going to come in and play us like that. So, every week we've got our week cut out for us. I mean, we're trying to change the culture of what Blacksburg football has been. So, teaching kids how to win is difficult, and just as hard as it was to teach them not to lose. So, we're working on it, man, and it's a process every day. But Union County, I mean, they do a great job with their kids, and like I said, they're going to come in and fight us. So, you have to put records aside when you see a team like Union County, a lot of tradition down that way.
Coach, fantastic start, 2-0 to the season. Congratulations on that start, and best of luck. We appreciate you taking time to hop on with us this morning.
Absolutely, man. Like I said, I appreciate you guys and what you do for high school sports and for coaches and kids alike, man. So I appreciate it. Good
Absolutely. Chat. Absolutely. Thank you, Coach. That's Josh Batchelor, the head football coach of the Blacksburg Wildcats. Fantastic conversation. And Alex, that's an interesting game next week, them and Union, because, he's right. Union hasn't won a game yet, but they're going to come in scrappy, like I said, because they're looking for their first one. But I tell you, man, as good as this Blacksburg team's played, I don't think they'll feel like they're outmatched. I know it's early. It's Saturday. I don't want to make a pick right now, but you got to like Blacksburg's chances.
Yeah, absolutely. And I echo Coach Batchelor's thoughts there. I mean, Union, he mentioned it. They don't look like they're an 0-3 team. They've played really good teams thus far. I mean, they've played Newberry, Fairfield Central, and then last night York. And
pretty good teams.
You talk about those 3 teams.
And they played Dorman in the preseason.
Yeah, and they played Dorman in the preseason. So, I mean, they have definitely had their work cut out for them. I mean, between those three teams, I think they're combined like 6-2 or something like that. So I mean,
pretty good team.
Really good teams to start the season if you're Union County. But no, I agree. I think I'm leaning early Blacksburg in that game. I think Blacksburg really is not going to be as overmatched as what Coach Batchelor just tried to give credit for.
Yeah, well, I think Union County, to his point, I think they do have some talent. Now, I'll tell you this: they've battled some adversity this season with some injuries. And Union County, only a couple of weeks into the season, they've had to deal with some injuries on their football team that a lot of teams, don't have to deal with this early in the season. But it should be interesting. So, congratulations to Coach Batchelor on a 2-0 start. Not just him, but the entire staff and team in Cherokee County. Both teams in Cherokee County got a win last night, Alex. That doesn't happen often, I would imagine. Somebody who covers Gaffney and has covered Gaffney a long time, to his point, he's having to change the culture at Blacksburg. And, Blacksburg struggled for a long time. Obviously, they were good for several years under Coach Turner, but they're finally getting back to a spot. I say back to a spot. They're finally getting to a spot where they're no longer the homecoming team that a lot of people used to schedule them as.
Yeah, and it's always kind of, you mentioned covering Gaffney for a long time, born and raised in Gaffney as well. So it's always, when I was growing up, it was always kind of the joke, like, oh, you don't want to go to the other side of the river and be in Blacksburg, and as, that was always a very tongue-in-cheek comment to
Good
make.
little
but,
rivalry.
Yeah, but there's a lot of folks in Gaffney that really within the last, I would say 5 to 7 or 8 years have really started getting on the train of, why do we have this rivalry? We never play.
Yeah.
They never play each other. I think they've only played each other once in both teams' entire histories. And so it's, Gaffney fans now, I feel like, are cheering for two teams. They're cheering for Gaffney, and they also want to see Blacksburg on the other side of the river do well as well.
Absolutely. That's Coach Josh Batchelor. Appreciate him taking time to join us. We will continue the conversation in hour number 2. We'll hit scores from last night, give you the games that surprised us the most, as well as look ahead to week number 3, high school football conversation. Your thoughts as well, all coming up right here on the Fan Upstate.
WYRD Greenville.
WORD Spartanburg.
WFBC HD3 Greenville. The official sports voice of you, the Upstate fan.
Upstate.
An Odyssey Sports Station. Welcome to the Saturday Morning Scramble. Scores, highlights, news, and interviews from the world of South Carolina high school football.
Powered by Founders Federal Credit Union, official credit union of the Saturday Morning Scramble, and your local Ingalls Market.
It's the Saturday Morning Scramble on the Fan Upstate.
Week 2 of high school football in the rear view mirror. We'll touch on the games last night one more time. We'll give you our biggest surprises, what games stood out to us the most in the slate of games. We had a lot of games last night, 31, 32, something like that.
30, yeah, something
30-something amount of games last night. We'll give you the scores one more time as well. But listen, week 3 is now here, and we will have to take a look ahead and look at the games next week. We had audio from Matt Reel this morning in hour number 1. If you missed it, you can go back on the free Odyssey app. You can download that app anytime. It's free, AUDACY. Use the rewind feature on the app, and you can go back and listen to anything you missed on the Fan Upstate. He's Alex Guest. I'm Cole Bryson. Saturday Morning Scramble continues on hour number 2 right here on the Fan Upstate. Want to say thanks to Ingalls Markets as well as Founders Federal Credit Union. Both of them, huge thanks for allowing us to be here at Ingalls, as well as making this show a possibility and making the show possible each and every Saturday morning. We're at 2000 South Pine Street in Spartanburg. One more hour to come out and see us next Saturday if you're in the Greer area. Alex Guest, 1524 Locust Hill Road. You know where that is?
I do know where that is. I've frequented that Ingalls a lot.
And you and I
know that I just said the right words.
Well, you've been there.
English
you,
is
you
difficult.
and I have been there.
Been there. Yeah.
And we will be there next Saturday. So come out and see us again. And if you're in the Greer area next night, Alex Guest, and then on the other side of that, we'll tell the audience, and you can tell me as well. I hadn't heard from you in terms of which game surprised you the most last night. There were some really good games. So let's go through one more time before the show comes to a conclusion at the end of the hour. One more time, final scores from week 2 of high school football. Here is Alex Guest.
Do we start 1A, 2A, or just go 5A?
You can start wherever you like.
Well, I would start in the middle, but then I'd lose my spot.
You lose your spot. You better not do that.
I'll just start from the top.
You
I'll
better
go
keep it
down.
simple.
We'll go down the list. Easily a 41-14 winner over Wade Hampton last night. Gaffney, big 54-14 victory over Greenville. Guess they found out who the real GHS was.
Yeah, they did.
Yeah.
That was not close. Big win for Gaffney.
Dorman, 20-14 winners over Greenwood. Hillcrest, 28-21 winner over Greer. J.O. Mann knocks off Daniel, 28-23. Fountain Inn, a 12-3 winner over Malden. Westside, 56-20 over T.L. Hanna. Woodmont, a 34-19 winner over Pendleton. Boiling Springs, 52-7 winner over Chapman. Riverside, 37-20 victors over Christchurch. Spartanburg, a 47-6 win over Broome. Woodruff knocks off Emerald, 62-35. BHP, Belton Honeypath, a 55-6 winner over Lawrence. Dixie gets a 1-point win, 37-36 over Southside. And Wren, a 34-7 winner over Powdersville. Blue Ridge goes into North Carolina, knocks off Polk County, 42-36. Pickens, 38-34 winners over Liberty. Seneca defeats West Oak, 42-3. Palmetto, 31-0 winners over Travelers Rest. Southside Christian, 42-28 over Anderson Christian. Mountain View Prep, 48-21 over St. Joseph's.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a big win. I mean, they're rolling right now.
Yeah. York, 49-14 winners over Union County. Before the break, we talked to the head coach of the Blacksburg Wildcats. They got a big win, 48-12 over Cherville out of North Carolina. Chesney, 25-13 over Walhalla. Clinton defeated Newberry, 23-14. Landrum knocks off Ware Shoals, 54-26. I think my biggest surprise, Batesburg-Leesville defeats Abbeville, 37-35.
Yeah.
Mid Carolina blinks Whitmire 28-0, and Greenwood Christian blinks Eau Claire 40-0.
How about that? Those are the scores from last night's games from around the upstate. We appreciate you as you go to games. You text in some stats, some thoughts, highlights, whatever it is. We appreciate you doing so. Quick note, a big night last night for Jaden Taylor of Riverside, and that 37-20 win. He had 3 touchdowns. They call him Jaden Speedy Taylor. You can guess why.
Yeah.
Javon Gilmore, a huge night last night for the Gaffney Indians. Alex, you have his stat line. He had a decent night.
Yeah, I've seen better. I mean,
yeah, right.
No, 24-27, 334 yards, 4 passing touchdowns, 1 rushing touchdown.
Not bad.
No interceptions.
Not bad at all. And also Lincoln Husky last night, the game I was at, Bowling Springs, and that win over Chapman, he had over 300 yards last night.
At all.
And then how about Marquise Henderson of Belton Honiopath?
Yeah.
9 carries. I'm not good at math here. But,
Okay.
Alex, if you only rush 9 times and you rush for 196 yards,
Okay.
that's not a bad yards per rush average.
No, that is 21.7.
Yards per carry.
Yeah.
That is not bad.
Yeah, 21.7 yards per carry.
Every time Marquise Henderson touched the football
He's
last
getting
night,
22 yards.
22 yards a clip. Whew. Not bad at all. That was fantastic. And by the way, Marquise Henderson set the record, the rushing record, the school rushing record, in a 55-6 win over Lawrence. An incredible night for him. And, BHP's they're a team you're going to have to deal with. And 3A, I mean, are you kidding me? And I know Chapman, the team I saw last night, Alex, they see them here in a few weeks. They are going to be a problem in 3A. They're very, very good. Speaking of Gaffney, we did get an appearance. I didn't know if we would or not, but our buddy Brock Hamrick of WZZQ and the Cherokee Chronicle is with us on the phone lines, 844-326-3663. Brock, I didn't know if we'd get an appearance this morning and be graced by your presence, but you're awake.
Well, guys, it's good to be with you. And there for a while, I thought you had my number blocked, but fortunately able to get through this morning. But, a good night of high school football last night and a lot of excitement in the air as the season returns, and it's a lot of fun to be back.
What do you make of Blacksburg being 2-0? I know you covered Gaffney, but, we just talked to Josh Batchelor. I mean, those guys, they have a very good team this year. And, I think usually you look at them and other opponents, Brock, and you think, oh, that's going to be a tough game. And it certainly will be so. But I think when you look at their schedule, you feel like they have a good chance in a lot of games this year.
Yeah, I told a lot of people coming into the season that this Blacksburg team would probably win more games than they have since 2019, and that was Drew Chisholm's last year at the helm of the Wildcats. But like Coach Batchelor said, when you're playing Blacksburg this year, you have to pick your poison. You got Dominique Odom, a strong running back out of the backfield, Sean Rogers, a speedster as well, and then Tristan Hare, who's just a game breaker for Blacksburg. It's just one after another as far as playmakers. And guys, they've got Union County at home Friday night. We know Union County's struggling. If Blacksburg were able to get a victory, I don't know how they would celebrate that one, guys, but they would be up all night because it would be a monumental victory and one that would move Blacksburg to 3-0, a place they have not been in over 5 years.
It would be. That'd be fantastic. Brock, you were at the game that Alex Guest was at. I said earlier in hour number 1, Alex and I were talking about the performance of Javon Gilmore. And I tell you what, I said it to start the show. When he moved to Gaffney from Ben Lippen, there were some question marks, right, about him only playing quarterback for a year, and playing at Ben Lippen versus playing at Gaffney. But I tell you, the best way I can put it is last night it looks as if he answered every single one of those questions.
I'll be honest, I said on the radio last night, Cole, that I don't think Javon Gilmore missed a play.
Mm-hmm.
He had one deep pass that he slung down the field to Jamarcus Smith that he threw it maybe a step in front of Junior, but aside from that, he didn't miss a play. And last night, he really showed his ability, and I thought it was important that he do that on the home field. Sometimes those players in the first game at the reservation can be a little intimidating. Although that crowd is at home cheering for you, it's still just a lot going on and a lot to take in. But he looked poised last night, and, guys, he was on the money. There were some passes. He threw one to Shane Davidson on a go route that just fell right in the breadbasket in the end zone for a 48-yard touchdown. He didn't miss much last night.
And you know what? That should be scary for a lot of teams. And we talked about it, Brock, Alex and I did in the first hour. Boiling Springs has a bye. You know, I love the way that Matt Reel, who we heard audio from in the first hour, I love the way that he corrected me. He said, no, it's not a bye. We're just not getting paid until next Friday. I don't know, Brock, if Boiling Springs, Gaffney looming in the distance in quite some time will have as much hype and conversation surrounding it, Alex. I mean, I can't think of one in the last several years that'll have as much hype surrounding that. Maybe the 2016 game for Boiling Springs from that standpoint, because they were trying to get to a state championship. I know Gaffney wasn't the best that year, but still from the Boiling Springs side, there was a lot of anticipation. They played Gaffney twice in 2016. Brock, it's been a while since these two teams, when they obviously Boiling Springs, Gaffney sometimes has been a good game, but I don't know that there's been this much anticipation around it.
Well, you're right, Cole. I think 2016 would be the last one you could point to as far as the significance for both teams. But when the schedule came out, you and I kind of looked at it and wondered if that matchup against the Bulldogs and the Indians in that first region matchup of the season would be for the region title. And I know it's early in the year, but I really think it is. And I think Matt Reel has done an exceptional job at Boiling Springs. Lincoln Husky, I think, is one of the best quarterbacks in the state.
Yeah.
And I know that the Bulldogs will be ready. Cole, if you remember back, and I know Alex remembers this well too, but in 2013 when Boiling Springs came to the reservation and ended Gaffney's home winning streak in the playoffs, I mean, these two teams have history, Cole, and while Gaffney has probably, of course, won more than they've lost in this series, there's been some good games that we can look back on between the Bulldogs and the Indians.
There's no doubt. I remember that one well. I was on the sideline for that one, and that one, hopefully, you get older, sometimes you forget things. Hopefully that's one I'll never forget, because that was sensational. But, I said it earlier to Alex, Brock, before we let you run, Gaffney doesn't have a bye this week. They play a game, but no disrespect to North Carolina high school football, but this might be as close to a bye as Gaffney could get without not playing.
It may be similar to what we saw last night, where in the third and fourth quarter, Gaffney just exhausted the bench and got all the guys that are on the team in the game. But Dan Jones said it in the postgame interview with us last night, Cole. He said that in the third quarter, he looked at Coach Littlejohn and said, let's make sure we get everybody in. And Coach Littlejohn said, there's only 3 more, Coach, that we haven't got in. So Gaffney doesn't have a ton of depth this year. No one wants to sit and play second fill to someone at Gaffney, so they're going to move on and play somewhere else. So Gaffney will have a chance to get some of those second stringers in, Cole, but the key for the Indians right now is just trying to stay healthy.
Brock Hamrick, WZZQ, as well as the Cherokee Chronicle. Brock, you think I could break 10 miles an hour on the catapult system that Josh Batchelor was talking about?
Well, like I say, if things work the right way, you and I will be in Iron City later this week, and there may or may not be a video that comes out. So I guarantee you, I think I could get over 10 miles an hour.
Guarantee. That's a guarantee. Wow. 10 miles an hour, man. I don't know. Again, you feel like 10 miles an hour isn't a lot. You think you get 10, Alex?
No shot.
No shot you get 10?
No shot. I might get like 7 or 8.
That's your peak?
I don't think I'm getting to 10. I don't know. I mean, if I'm like running for my life from like a bear chasing me in the woods,
okay, that's what we'll do.
Sure,
if you can make it this week.
But if you just like put me on the football field.
Yeah. Well, Brock will try his best. Brock, try to get a bear. That way Alex can participate and run as fast as he can, if you don't mind.
We'll do our best. In Cherokee County, we can find about anything. So just give me a little time, and I'll let you guys know.
Yeah, let me know. Let me know, Brock.
We appreciate the call, Brock. That is Brock Hamrick, WZZQ, as well as the Cherokee Chronicle, covers Gaffney and is the play-by-play voice of the Gaffney Indians. No disrespect. I don't. Alex didn't mean for it to come across as North Carolina doesn't have any good high school football teams,
what I heard.
Because they certainly do. However, the matchup Friday night at Gaffney between Gaffney and Freedom, it'll be a mismatch. It really will be.
It will be. And Freedom's 2-1 coming into that game. They've won their last 2 games, from what I understand. And I got a text once that game was announced. I got a text from a talking head that covers North Carolina, that covers that area of North Carolina high school sports. And he more or less, the text basically was, it's great that Gaffney got a game, that Gaffney got the reps, but that's about all that's going to be for Gaffney.
Pick your score.
Yeah. So, and again, no disrespect to Freedom and to North Carolina high school football. You
It's
know,
gonna be tough.
like you mentioned, there's the really good, like the Butlers and the Independents and like those kind of guys. But I don't know. Before this game got scheduled in very early August, I don't know that I had ever heard of Freedom High
And
School.
most Gaffney fans probably haven't, So it's going to be interesting for sure. All right, before we run, one game that surprised you, doesn't have to be one, it can be two or three, but one, when you look at the scores from last night that you read off just a few moments ago, the games that surprised you last night, I know you mentioned one towards the bottom, and I'll let you go first and I'll give mine.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think the biggest surprise to me is I'm headed home last night. My wife is reading the scores out to me as I'm driving.
Shout out Katie for helping with the
Shout out
scores.
Katie. Thanks. Probably still sleeping right now.
Yep,
but
it's okay.
Lucky
At least
her.
we told her, yeah.
But she got to, she said Abbeville 35, Batesburg, Leesville 37, and just kind of like skipped over that very quickly.
Just read
and
it off
I
like
was like, whoa. What did you say?
Abbeville lost. is what you said.
Abbeville lost. And I think that probably was the biggest surprise in terms of winner loser. In terms of just the final score being closer than I thought it would be the Hillcrest Greer game.
Yeah, I did too. 28-21 Hillcrest over Greer. It's interesting because Greer's now what, 0-3 now?
0-3.
And Hillcrest is a good team. Caleb Sutton was hurt last week. Jackson Free did a great job stepping in for him last Friday night. Caleb Sutton's back last night. Hillcrest gets the win 28-21. But no, I agree with you there. It was closer than I thought it would be. Hillcrest is still a good team. I just thought they would handle Greer. And again, credit to Greer, right? Being 0-2 entering that game, on the verge of 0-3, fighting like trying their best to win the game. And they come up short by one touchdown. But I don't think you can fault the effort from Greer last night. You can't say this Greer team's not trying. I mean, that's a very good Hillcrest team. It's a Hillcrest team that I saw in the preseason go to Dorman and get up on Dorman early. So it's a good team, and then no moral victories here on this show. I'm not a fan. I don't believe in moral victories, but Greer's in a tough spot. We talk about it. They haven't won a lot of games in non-region because they do schedule so tough out of conference.
Yeah, and I mean, look, that game was 21-14 at the half. Hillcrest was up, and I mean, their very beginning, I mean, Greer, Hillcrest, they were going tit for tat basically. It was tied at 7 at the end of the first. It was 14 all midway through the second quarter, and it really just seemed like it was a very good, very, very good game.
Yeah.
By both teams, and I agree with you. I do think that I just really thought that it was not going to be as close as what the final score said.
Dorman Greenwood was an interesting game. I don't think it surprised me a ton, but Dorman 20, Greenwood 14. I'll be transparent. During the week, I texted you and I sent all my picks and I picked Greenwood. And then yesterday I just said, no, Dorman's going to win that game. And they did. I'm glad I picked them. I'm glad I changed my pick before the game started. But, that's a tough, people don't realize. Go get everybody back on the same page. I think that's a big win for Dorman last night.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, how do you're down 53-0 at the half, and that ends up being your final score the week before.
Yeah.
Then you've got to go to, and I mean, Greenwood is one of those teams. They're kind of like the Gaffneys or the Burns or, where when they, even in a down year, they're still like, it's still a hostile environment to go play in. It's a really weird, I mean, Greenwood's got like.
You okay? Alex guest just conked out on us. I mean, just mid speech.
Man,
I thought
Greenwood's got like the 3-story
CPR over there.
They've got like the 3-story press box over. It's like it's just a weird place to play. And Dorman goes in there, they pull out a victory.
It's a big win for those guys last night. And then I tell you what else, I wasn't really sure how to gauge J.O. Man Daniel. Daniel's still a good team. They lost a lot to graduation and felt like Coach Brewster felt like they were young in some areas talking to him in the preseason. But for them to go last night on the road, jump up 2 classifications and play one classification now, right? to play JL Man and almost win that game 28-23. That was a big performance by Daniel, but again, going up against a very good JL Man football team. Not a close game. I wouldn't say this one surprised me, but 56-20, Westside over TL Hanna. Alex, I did think that one might be a little closer.
Yeah, I thought so. I think we both, you and I, picked Westside to win this game, but I agree with you. I didn't think it was going to be a 30. What is that? That's 36 points. I mean, that's 5
Big
touchdowns.
win.
So I thought, for sure, this is kind of, if you were to flip the Hillcrest Greer and the Westside TL Hanna score, that's kind of how I thought those two games would go. I thought Hillcrest would kind of pull away and win big against Greer, and I thought that the Westside TL Hanna game was going to be a little bit closer, a 7 or 14-point win.
Were you surprised? We're going to take a break in a second, but were you surprised in how Boiling Springs beat Chapman 52-7? Did that surprise you at all?
The final, no. I think I was surprised when it was 41-0 at half. Is that right? 41-0.
I can't remember exactly. My memory's terrible, and if I don't write something down,
41-0.
It was big to little. It was big
to
little. I'll tell you that Chapman did get one touchdown on the board, but Bowling Springs we talked about it in hour number 1. They hit on all cylinders, and man, when this team that's been together for a few years, veteran led with Lincoln Husky and those guys, when they start feeling themselves against an inferior opponent, they're going to win, and they're going to win big, and that's what they did last night. I like the way they're handling business. Coach Matt Real talked about the Malden game. They weren't really happy with the performance. They did get the win, but Bowling Springs, nonetheless, 3-0 to start the season, and then they're on a bye this Friday night, and then they will have Gaffney the week after that at home at their place in Boiling Springs. All right, we're going to take a break. Come back. Get your thoughts. If you want to chime in, you can do so. 71307. Start your text with the word fan. We're also live on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube. You can watch the show. Phone lines open as well, 844-FAN-PHONE. We will look at week 3 games, and your thoughts all coming up next right here on the Saturday Morning Scramble on the Fan Upstate.
States, 97.7 FM Greenville, 97.1 FM Spartanburg.
Streaming everywhere on the Odyssey app.
Did that fix it?
No.
I'm struggling.
No.
I'm
Yeah,
trying.
now
Oh, there's a glare on you
now.
now.
It's like the angels of heaven
Evan,
are coming down.
Evan Promotions, we need help. Evan, help. There is a massive
man.
glare that we're trying to
If you're
fix on
watching,
the stream.
yeah.
If you're watching, if you're one of the 150 people watching, we're going to work. Evan from Promotions will work on the glare. How
You'll
about
get to
that?
see him in the background.
You will get to see him for sure.
Thanks, Evan.
The sun's shining bright this morning, starting to feel like fall. Good. I love this weather, man. Good
Yeah.
weather, football weather.
It was great all week.
I'm telling you, man, it felt good. No more 90s. Hopefully that crap's gone. We're at 2000 South Pine Street in Spartanburg. It's the Saturday morning scramble. I'm Cole Bryson. He's Alex Guest.
Oh,
Trying to find.
that's nice.
He fixed it.
That's nice. Good job, Evan.
Oh, wait a minute. Wait a
Oh,
minute.
man.
Just
All
stand right there the rest of the show, please, if you don't mind. Can you do that? Can you just stand right there the rest of the program?
All right.
I think he temporarily fixed it, so we should be better on the stream now. We look live and professional. Trying to find a player of the week, Alex Guest. A lot of big performances last night. Belton Honeypath had a big game. I mean, you know, I've already heard back from Russell Blackston of Belton Honeypath. Marquise Henderson, 9 rushes, 198 yards, 3 touchdowns. Set the all-time rushing record, career rushing record of BHP. 1 catch for 10 yards. He is now, listen to this, Marquise Henderson is now BHP's all-time leading rusher with 4,990 yards. He also has sole ownership of 16 other Belton Honeypath records. God.
You know, when we were talking about it during the break, I kind of forgot that we had a guy in our coverage area that ran for
Good
22 yards every time he touched the ball last
That
night.
is, and by the way, Alex is not exaggerating. That is literally what he averaged last night. A huge night for him on the ground. Also heard from Gray Ramsey of Mountain View Prep. Jalen McGill, listen to this, Alex, player of the week candidate. 18 for 174, 4 touchdowns, 9 catches, 162 yards receiving. A big night for the running back. 18 carries for 174 yards and 9 catches, 162 yards. How do you top that? I mean, let me tell you, we have a tough job trying to find the player of the week between Jalen McGill, Javon Gilmore, Lincoln Husky, Marquise Henderson. I mean, and that's just to name 4.
Yeah.
I mean, you talk about guys, TJ Morris, Cam Taylor at Woodruff, Corey Moats at Woodruff. We're struggling. And, you know, we give player of the weeks out, and we honor them and have them on during the week on Wire to Wire. But, man, it's there's a ton of
How
good
many
players.
more weeks we got to do this?
I mean, there are a ton of good players. It is tough to choose from. It really is, man. So we'll have that player of the week for you, but there were a lot of really good performances last night. One more time, Alex, on our weekly picks. You and I both somehow went 21-5 last night. I am now 62-17 on the season. 78% win rate there. You're 59-20, not far behind me. 74% win rate. Again, 21-5 last night. Let's turn the page, Alex Guest. Flip the page and look at week 3.
Okay.
That is the 13th of September. You know what I hate about high school football?
It goes by so fast.
I hate it. I mean, it goes by so fast. We anticipate it. We look forward to it all off season, right? And then all of a sudden, you get here and bam, 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 bam. It goes by. We're already at week 3. Almost. I mean, I don't even want to say those words I was about to say. So, anyways, week 3 of high school football is here. Before we get into a lot of the games, just looking, which game jumps off the page to you in terms of importance, intrigues you? Which game's the most intriguing when you look at the games? I see some really good ones. I see Clinton Chapman as a game that intrigues me. You know, Chapman looking for a bounce-back win after last night's Bowling Springs game. Clinton with a big win last night. There's some good games on this slate, Alex.
Yeah, you know, and I see Belton Honeypath West Side I think will be a good game. I mean, we're talking about two teams that are just juggernauts in their own division.
That will be a good game.
The conferences. What is this, college?
Yeah,
their own
region.
Classification. Yeah, classification. There we go. That's the C word I was looking for.
There's the word you were looking for.
So, I mean, Belton Honey Path, they got to go to West Side. That one jumps off the page for me.
It does.
Big to me.
That's going to be a good one. TL Hannah-Wren is an interesting game next week. Woodmont-Woodruff. Woodmont, really banged up right now. Do appreciate Andy Sink for giving me some information on Woodmont. A ton of key injuries right now. 7 of the top 10 players have been out this season, including the starting receivers, a good many of them. They do hope to have them back. Woodmont does by week 5 at Easley. And when they get them back, they anticipate this being a pretty good Woodmont football team, but they're battling some injuries right now, and Woodruff just lighting up the scoreboard. Do me a favor real quick. Woodruff in the first 3 weeks, I believe after last night, Woodruff now 3-0 on the season. Total points, because they have put up some points, Alex. How many did they score in week 0?
Yeah, I got to find them.
Woodruff
is
they're 3A.
They're 3A. Yep. That would help, huh?
You were in the wrong classification.
40 to 36.
Okay, so 40 week 0.
Yep. 30 last week.
Okay, and
then
50
last night. It was whatever you said.
Week 2.
Man, you hit me.
62.
62. Yeah.
So they have scored 132 points in 3 weeks. That's my point. Woodruff. You look at their game coming up against Woodmont. It should be a good game, but Woodruff right now, they're just lighting up the scoreboard. 132 points in 3 weeks. Burns back in action at Greer. Do you know they were on the road this week?
Are they?
Burns on the road.
But isn't this one of the 3 designated games where they're like the designated home team or whatever that is? However that's going to work?
Yeah, they're wearing the home jersey.
Okay.
And I believe they'll I
don't mean to put you on the spot.
I think they're going to I think they'll wear the home jerseys, and Greer will be the visiting team. So they'll do the normal visiting team stuff. I don't know in terms of staff.
Greer will have to call the coin toss.
Yeah, Greer will call the coin toss. I don't know in terms of staffing if Burns will have to bring their own staff to work, like concessions and gate and stuff like that. But yeah, you're right. There will be, even though Burns is playing all the games on the road, there will be 3 or 4 games this year where they will be the designated home team, get to wear their home jerseys. And you're right. I believe this one.
And they will later in the season at one of those home games, they will get to celebrate homecoming.
That's a good question. I don't know.
Senior night.
That's a good question.
Okay.
I know
that
they
out
did,
between
no, I'll
now
tell you
and
this,
next
they
week.
did senior night at the spring game.
Really?
Yeah, because I was there. They did senior night at the spring game. So I don't know. I think that might. Yeah, matter of fact, they did. They I don't know about homecoming. I don't know if you can do homecoming as a road team, but yeah, they did the senior night at the spring game. So they won't have a senior night. It's very interesting. But Burns on the road at Greer this Friday night. That's that. I know that we talked about Greer not having one since Bill Clinton was the president. Yeah. It's been a long time. However, Alex, that game is a very important game for Burns because it's a get-right game. They're 0-2, right? They need a win pretty bad. So that's going to be a fascinating game on Friday. As we mentioned earlier, Gaffney does have Freedom, and they're out of North Carolina. Not sure exactly where. Never heard of Freedom until this year.
Morganton,
North Carolina, says Alex Guest. Appreciate that. Broome at Emerald on Friday night. Carolina Fountain Inn. Berea Southside. You mentioned Belton Honeypath and the West Side. That should be a fantastic game, man. As good as BHP's been and as good as they are with Marquise Henderson at running back, who is phenomenal. I tell you, they're going up against a tough one. I mean, this is going to be a heck of a game. I don't know that Belton Honeypath can do it because West Side's just loaded. I mean, loaded.
Yeah.
But it should be a good game. That'll be one to keep your eye on. No doubt about it. Mountain View has Crescent, Pendleton, Powdersville. Man, is Pendleton coming off of a loss last night. Powdersville in the same boat. They're 0-3. This is a game that's important for both, but for Robert Mustard and Powdersville, Alex, who we talked to last week, this is kind of a must-win.
Yeah, absolutely. And Robert Muster said last week when he was on the show, he said, I'm not apologizing to my players. I'm not apologizing to my coaches for scheduling this non-region schedule that we have. And I mean, you look at it, they opened the season with Seneca. That was a 1-point loss, 35-34. Last week, they played a real tough game with Abbeville and lost by 10, 53-43. And then last night, the 34-7 loss to Wren. I mean, they got Pendleton, they've got Broome, then they've got their bye week. Then they go into a tough region against Southside Christian, Christchurch, Palmetto, Carolina, and St. Joe's.
That is tough.
I mean,
very tough.
When you have a tough region like that and your coach is trying to set you up for success and trying to set you up to win games and make hopefully a deep playoff run,
yeah,
you have those 5 non-region games that are going to be just as tough, if not tougher, than your
no
region.
doubt. And then now Brett Sloan making it even tougher for us to choose player of the week.
Man.
Head coach of Woodruff sent me the stats from last night. TJ Morris, an incredible night, 13 of 17, 278, 5 touchdowns.
Not bad. Not
Moats last night had 5 catches for 141 yards.
bad. Okay.
Not bad
Okay.
there. I mean, they've got dudes that have had some really big nights, and Woodruff is putting up a lot of points. So,
Yep.
It's going to be tough to choose a player of the week. It really will be. But there was a lot of good performances last night in week 2. Week 3 is what we're looking at now. We'll put a bow on the show in the next segment.
That
Your
rhymed.
last, yeah, it did rhyme. You
Yeah.
like that? I can rhyme anytime. Your last chance to get your thoughts in, 71307. Start your text with the word fan. Phone lines will be open as well. All coming up in the very last segment of today's Saturday Scramble, brought to you by Founders Federal Credit Union and your local Eagles. Final segment of the program. I'm Cole Bryson, joined by Alex Guest each and every Saturday morning. Want to say thanks one more time to Ingles as well as Founders Federal Credit Union for making the show a possibility each and every Saturday morning. We are live at 2000 South Pine Street in Spartanburg, getting you ready for week 3 of high school football. Week 2 is now in the rear view mirror. We talked to Matt Reel this morning. Well, we heard from Matt Reel. I talked to him after the game last night, heard from quarterback of Bowling Springs, Lincoln Husky, as well as Josh Batchelor in the 8 o'clock hour. A big win for Blacksburg last night. So, Alex, teams are starting to get their feet underneath them, starting to feel themselves a little bit, get a rhythm, get a good feel for what this team can be, get a good feel for what their team can be. You don't want to judge a team based off of one game in week 0. But now that the season's, you've got a little bit more of a sample size. You have a little bit more area to grade your team. And whoever you pull for, whatever games you go to, let us know. 71307 is the text line. Save that in your phone. And you can text us if you just start your text with the word fan throughout the high school football season. Looking at week 3, we haven't made our picks yet. We'll do that during the week. However, you talked about the BHP Westside game. Let's look at I wanted to go to Clinton Chapman. Chapman, Alex, they're a team that's, I guess you could classify it as a rebuilding year.
Mm-hmm.
They're a little bit down. They had a tough one last night. But you look at their schedule, and I know you have it in front of you in a second, but Chapman's schedule for the first time, what I find interesting about this Chapman team in Inman, for the first time in a long time, they're playing a brutal non-region schedule. Now, their region is favorable. They have Mountain View Prep, who's really good right now. But, usually Chapman's had I don't want to say a soft schedule, but compared to this year's, it has been. For those that don't know, Chapman's non-region games this year, read them out.
They only opened the season at Daniel.
Yeah. Pretty good team.
Yep. Then they got their lone win on the season so far last week against St. Joe's.
Yep.
35-21. Then last night, we all know what happened, 52-7 to Boiling Springs, loss. Sure. And then you mentioned it, Clinton next week. Then they go on the road, Christchurch, and on the road, Belton Honey Path.
That is a brutal non-region stretch for Chapman.
Yeah.
I mean, that is tough. Listen. They're down compared to what they have been. Harry Cabinets and those guys are still doing a good job. But I tell you what, there's a good possibility they're going into region play, going into that bye with 1 or 2 wins. I mean, it's gonna be tough for those guys. In 5A, Alex, any surprises in the first few weeks? Gaffney's been good. They've only played 2 games compared to some who have played 3. Bowling Springs has been very good. They're 3-0. Burns has only played 2. They were off last night. Dorman, we all know what Grayson's capable of doing. And then also in that region, you have Wade Hampton, you have Riverside, and you have Eastside. 5A, though, in particular, what stood out to you the most this season in terms of the teams that, we follow in Region 2 5A?
Well, and Region 2 5A, I think really what's standing out to me right now is just the way that, if you look at it, everybody that you have kind of expected to win has won. Yeah. Realistically, we all know Burns and the I don't want to say issues, but the just struggles. Everything kind of the struggles that they're having to experience this year, and with players kind of transferring out from Burns, and then having to play every game on the road. So does it surprise me that they really started the season 0-2? Not necessarily, just given everything that the players are having to deal with right now. But I think Burns is going to bounce back, and they'll, honestly, they're playing Greer this next week, and I think I'm probably going to pick Burns to win that game in an early lean. But and I know you won't pick that game, but. Realistically, I think we all expected Boiling Springs to be undefeated at this point.
Yeah, well, their schedule, absolutely.
Yep. I think we I think that Greenville-Dorman score opening week of the season was kind of a surprise in just the way that game played out.
Weird game.
Yeah. But otherwise, that's kind of gone as I expected. East Side getting a couple of big wins over Southside and Carolina. Nothing against Southside and Carolina, but I think both of those teams were like a combined 2-18 last year or something like that.
Yeah.
Obviously, Gaffney, Riverside being 3-0 right now. They've opened the season.
They've had a good start.
Yeah, they've opened the season with Malden and then two tough teams in Greenville and Christchurch, but
That's a good start for them, man.
Yeah, three very good wins for,
tell you
for
this,
Matthew Rochester.
I want to get to Spartanburg in a second, but speaking of Riverside, they're set up in a good spot. They have a bye. They're off this Friday night. And then they have Dorman, Wade Hampton, Burns back to back to back. I know you look at it and you say Dorman, Burns, 2 out of 3, that's tough, but Riverside's not a slouch team. Like, Riverside's a very good team this year. And you got to think, they're going to make some noise in the region. I don't know who they'll upset or who they'll knock off that they're not supposed to, but I think you have to watch out for Riverside this year. I think it's going to be good. Now, Spartanburg, also a bye this week. How many teams? I mean, everybody have a bye this week.
You get the. I guess you get like those 8-team regions where you only have 7 region games, and so week 3 just is like the ideal time to have a bye week going into the region.
Spartanburg also in a bye. They're 2-1. Wins over South Point, start the season. Wins over Broome last night, 47-6. A loss to Dutch Fork, a very good Dutch Fork team, but they have a bye. And then they have Eastside, which will be a region win. So they'll be able to start off the region with a win. Eastside's down compared to Region 2-5A. That's going to be tough for them, to win a game this season. Then they have Gaffney. So they start the region with Eastside. Then they go on the road to Gaffney. What's interesting about how this region schedule shakes out, Alex? Gaffney has 2 big tests to start region play. I mean, you look at the first 2 games at Boiling Springs, and then you host Spartanburg.
Yeah,
those are going to be 2 close games. Like, Gaffney's very, very good this season, but man, you talking about starting off region play, hot. You've got to perform. You've got to win, because you drop one of those, and all of a sudden you give that team, the driver's seat to the region. So, what a tough start for Gaffney in region play.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, realistically, like you mentioned, you got Boiling Springs, you've got Spartanburg, you've got the game against Eastside, then you're playing Burns. And regardless of what kind of year either of those 2 teams are having, anytime Gaffney and Burns play, those players know what that game means, and they're going to come out and they're going to be ready for it. So I think that's going to be, heck, Gaffney could be undefeated and Burns could be winless going into that game for all we know. And Burns is going to come out with the same intensity and the same fire that they always do when they take the field against Gaffney.
Should be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Should be a lot of fun. Week 3 of high school football is here. We appreciate you for being a part of the program each and every Saturday morning. We will be in Greer on Locust Hill Road 1 week from today, next Saturday morning. If you're in the Greer area, come out, talk a little high school football with us. I want to say thanks to Alex Guest to my right, Josh Batchelor, thanks to Matt Reel, Lincoln Husky, and to our producer back in the Ingalls Markets studio, Ben Pittman, doing a fantastic job. And one thanks to Ingalls as well as Founders Federal Credit Union for sponsoring the program. Evan and Promotions doing a good job as always.
Keeping the glare
away. A big
away.
team. That's right. A big team that makes this show a possibility. We will see you in the big city of Greer next Saturday morning.